Woohoo! Hello, welcome to the Can We Talk interview. I am Mindy Conklin. I am the founder and executive director of Hitting Cancer Below the Belt. Hitting Cancer Below the Belt, also known as HCB2, is a colon health, colorectal cancer prevention nonprofit based in Richmond, Virginia, but we serve the whole Commonwealth of Virginia. And today we wanted to bring in some celebrity guests because it's March 2022, which means it's Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And it's really important to break the silence that surrounds colorectal cancer. And why not do that with some celebrity guests? So I want to go ahead and announce who we have with us today. We have a Broadway actor, a movie star, and the voice of Pumbaa and Disney's Lion King. I'd like to introduce to you all Ernie Sabella. Ernie, welcome.
Hakuna Matata. It means no worries.
Thank you, Ernie, for
Hello,
being
Mindy.
here.
Hello, Mindy. Hello, Mindy.
Hello, Ernie. I have to also introduce an amazing celebrity influencer, MLB professional baseball coach, currently with the Texas Rangers. He's the third base coach, Tony Beasley. Tony, welcome.
Thanks, Mindy, for having me. I can't match Ernie's voice, his makeover voice, but I'm happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I so appreciate your time to chat with us about your story and bring some inspiration and some hope to some folks out there that are challenged with colorectal cancer. But I want to start first by highlighting some commonality between the two of you. Colorectal cancer survivors. So you both reside in Virginia. You're both colorectal cancer survivors, and you both want to do something about colorectal cancer. And so I want to start by asking you first, asking you both, how was your cancer discovered? How did it all go down? So I'll start with you, Tony. Can you share your story about how your cancer was discovered?
Yes, for me, it was in 2015, actually, when I started having signs. I really started having signs in 2000 and probably 13 or so. And I didn't really correlate the signs. But in 15, after the season, I was very fatigued, and I had developed some hemorrhoids, which I had never had before, and they wouldn't subside. And so I had also a little bit of bleeding in my stool, and I kind of ignored that. I had ignored that for a few years because I didn't think much of it, being that there was no prior history of cancer in my family. I never like connected myself with the possibility of having cancer. And so when I was active, I was very athletic and very active in my exercise and eating. And so I just didn't think of anything like that. And so it wasn't until after the 2015 season where the hemorrhoids that I had obtained were very painful and didn't subside. So eventually I just went and got checked for the hemorrhoids. And in lieu of that, the doctor decided to do a colonoscopy. And I was 49 at the time, so I wasn't really, I had like another year before my first colonoscopy. And so he decided to do it early. And when he did that, he found a tumor in my rectum, and that was very low and very significant. So that was in January of 2016. And that's how I found out.
So before we get over to Ernie, you were actually having symptoms 2 years prior, around age 47. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Were there any other symptoms besides blood in your stool? You said some maybe nagging symptoms. Was there anything else?
Yeah, that was it. I mean, I wasn't having like complete bowel movements, and they were kind of, like I wasn't finished. I couldn't finish. It was like that. And so I was having more often, but not complete. And I mean, as I learned more about the tumor and the cause of the hemorrhoids, it explained everything perfectly to me, because I'm very candid about I talk about it, because I think that's the only way to get people to really understand and to really get on top of things early, is we have to be blunt about our situation. And so for me, the hemorrhoids came about basically because the tumor was in my rectum, and it was kind of blocking the canal in my anus and my anal canal, where a bowel movement would pass. And so it was probably about 60% blocked. And so it was causing me to strain to get the bowel movement past that tumor. And that's what brought about the hemorrhoid. And then the hemorrhoids were bleeding hemorrhoids. And so, because of the pain of that and the consistency of that, it didn't go away no matter what, preparation H and all the things that they give you for hemorrhoids, it didn't help. So that led me to take the next step, and is to go see a doctor. And that's when, colonoscopy came out of that. And that's how, it was detected at age 49. So I'm very thankful, actually, for the hemorrhoids, because if I hadn't had those, I would have been the person that would have ignored the signs. Actually, I did ignore the signs. And so the hemorrhoid forced me to go see the doctor. And that's how, everything came to fruition.
I want to circle back to that, because there's a lot that we can talk about in regards to what you just said. Let me bring in Ernie right now. Ernie, thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit more about how your colorectal cancer was discovered.
Well, Dr. Christie at Capital One Wellness Center said this word: I think you should have a colonoscopy. And I had never heard that word before. I was 70, never even heard the word. I said, okay. And we went, my wife and I had the colonoscopy. And they bring you into a little room, and they put the chart up, and that doctor said, and here's where we have colon cancer. And from then on, I couldn't hear anything else. The room went white. I went, the what? I have what? And then I met Dr. Andrew Vernberg, thank you, Christy, who saved my life. And Dr. Andrew Vernberg of Richmond is such a great guy and such a great surgeon. He explained it to me very quickly. This is what it is. This is what I can do. And we should do it right away. I said, okay, we're doing it.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Tony, I'm going to swing you back in here as well. Tony, I believe you were diagnosed at stage 2. Ernie, what stage were you diagnosed with your colorectal cancer?
I think three.
Stage. Okay. Yeah. I remember that I didn't think either one of y'all were diagnosed stage 4, but I knew that it's still, you're still going to go through treatment, and you're still challenged with the burden of overcoming the disease. But it sounds like both of you guys have another commonality. I didn't know. I didn't know about colonoscopy, said Ernie. And Tony, did you know the signs of colorectal cancer? Did you know that this could be actually an issue, and you just disregarded it, or did you not even know?
You know what? I guess we've all heard that if you have bleeding in your stool, you should think that that's a possibility. But it wasn't consistent, and it wasn't a lot. And so I just didn't really correlate. I guess I just looked back at my family history, and I thought, I'm an athlete. I'm not sick. I'm not tired. I'm active every day. I mean, the baseball schedule is hectic. It's a 162 game season, and it's draining. But physically, I felt nothing. It was just the bowel movement thing, was not complete. But no, I did not correlate the two. I really didn't. And to be honest with you, I mean, I was still shocked even up until the moment, when the doctors discovered the tumor and told me right away that from their experience they knew it was cancer. So
Wow.
I did
Wow.
not. I ignored the signs. And I felt good, and I was able to function and do everything normally, and so I didn't think anything was wrong.
Nothing was wrong. And to Ernie, you stated that you were 70 years old and had never really heard about a colonoscopy or that procedure was actually necessary. Had you gone in, I mean, not to dig too much into your medical history, had you gone to see the doctor about other wellness checks as a male over the age of
Yes,
40? Okay.
yes, I went to the doctor every 6 weeks. I have a type 2 diabetes,
Mhm.
so I went to the endocrinologist every 6 weeks and
Mhm.
got blood. Gave at the labs. They gave blood. We talked about my number, my A1C, and all that. And then I went to the regular doctor. I'd say every 4 or 5 months. Hello, I'm here. Yeah.
And and you're basically saying it was never really recommended. It wasn't ever
It was never
encouraged.
recommended. It was never detected. No one talked about it.
Okay. Okay.
And when I heard the word, like, what is that? You know,
Right.
I thought colonoscopy was a surgical process. And I said, is that going to hurt? And they said, no, you're not going to feel anything before,
Mhm.
during, or after. You won't.
Mhm.
We put you out, and you wake up, and you haven't felt anything, and you won't feel. It's a non-starter. And
Okay.
man, that would have been nice to have done that years before, because the cancer takes years to develop.
You're
I didn't
absolutely
know that.
right. And you're bringing in you're tying into my next question, which is fear and hesitation. That's one thing that we hear all the time as a nonprofit, is that folks are not going to get that test, they that colonoscopy,
Yeah.
even though there are screening options. So talk to your medical provider about screening options out there that are less invasive. However, they think colonoscopy is something to fear and they hesitate to go get that procedure. But it sounds like, Tony, you and Ernie both had no hesitation or really no fear. You just kind of, well, for, obviously for Ernie's experience, it really wasn't ever encouraged. And with Tony's experience, I'm fine. I'm an athlete. I'm fine. I'm an athlete.
Exactly.
So it
Exactly.
wasn't fear or
Yes.
hesitation. Tony, what?
And
I
and
said to
also,
Dr.
Mindy,
Andrew,
I mean, we get, every year when we go to spring training, we have extensive testing, physical. I mean, everything from the finger, everything.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
get all the blood work, the EKG, everything, and so I never had anything that was off balance or off beat as far
Mhm.
as my test results. So, I just felt like I was fine. But to kind of echo what Ernie was saying about the colonoscopy, yes, I mean, since I've been through the process, I've spoken to many people as well that they have the fear of the colonoscopy. I never had the
Mhm.
fear of the colonoscopy. It's just something. I was 49. I already It wasn't time for me to have one yet. So I was told at 50 to have one, which I probably would have had one at 50. I wasn't fearful of it. But since I've been through it, I've had so many individuals uh, that have come to me and asked me what were my symptoms and what were things that I felt
Mhm.
prior. And I told them, and they said, well, I'm having this. And I said, well, you should probably go have a colonoscopy. And they have the fear of that. And I said, and I always say the colonoscopy for me is like, that's, yeah, I have one now every 3 years. I have to have one now, but
Yeah.
I mean, I've had three already since the time, and to me, it's an easy, beautiful day of rest. Actually, I mean, the
Yeah.
prep, yes,
Mhm.
to clean
Yep.
you out, but the process is a beautiful nap, and it's some deep sleep, and you wake up and it's over. So
And
it's
it's
it's really
over.
not a tough process. So I try to get people to understand that no, there is nothing to fear, but he's right. I mean, people fear the colonoscopy for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
when
thank
when
you.
I when I called my friends and said, I've just had a colonoscopy and they found cancer. That, oh, colonoscopy, that hurts, didn't it? I went, no, it didn't hurt at all. What are you crazy? Just go get one. They said, well,
Yeah.
doesn't it hurt? No, you don't feel nothing before, during, or after. You just have the knowledge that you're okay or you need a doctor. Period.
Yes.
Period.
That's right.
I'm so happy that you all brought that up, because and you've had these experiences chatting with friends and family and loved ones and neighbors and colleagues about this, and there is absolutely no reason to fear. You're absolutely right. The use of propofol, it's a nap. You don't even feel groggy. You're not nauseated afterwards. We consider it a total gut cleanse, right? Who wouldn't want a gut
Yes.
cleanse, right? Every 5 years or 10 years, right? And it
That's
is,
right. Yeah.
it's a time to kind of like reset and start over, right? So
Yes.
I really appreciate you all sharing your experiences. Yeah, about
Yes.
that. There's another commonality though that you all have, and it's the way that you approached your treatments. You both approached it with a very strong positive attitude. And I'll start with Ernie. And I'm hoping that you're going to share. And if you don't, I'll lead you in. I read what you did before every treatment as you were walking down the hallway. Can you share that with us?
Well, yes. I first of all, Tony, that's fantastic. You're what I wanted to be as a kid. I wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to be a baseball player, and you are that. So that like I'm in awe and and inspired by your life and the way you went about finding out and then getting treatment and staying positive. So good for you. What I
Thank you.
did when I walked in, I would walk down, check in, and Matt at the Virginia Cancer Center is a great guy. And I'd say, Matt, which hallway do I go? And he says, this way. And as I'm walking down the hallway, I would sing Hakuna Matata. I'd sing it out loud. I'm going down the hallway singing Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata. Ain't no passing craze. And doctors, nurses, would come out. They'd come to the room and they'd wave and they'd say, "Oh, it's him. It's great." Not only for my sake, but to spread the confidence, to spread it,
Mm-hmm.
which is happening right now. Uh, if you think about it, in Ukraine with their
Mm-hmm.
great president Zelensky, he is spreading the confidence. Once you have that, you can march right into hell and take care of the problem.
That's right.
Amen. It's not just diseases and
Amen.
viruses that are contagious. Absolutely. It is positive vibes and positive energy. Absolutely. Tony, I know
Amen.
that you still see obstacles as opportunities. Can you share with us more about that?
Yes. First of all, I mean, when I was first diagnosed, you know, I woke up and there was a lady that before I went in the colonoscopy, she asked me, she said, "Are you a pastor?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, you speak like you're a man of faith." And I said, "Well, I am." And when when I woke up from the colonoscopy, she was there and she said, "The faith that I know you have, I'm going to need you to rely on that faith." So right away, I knew something was wrong. And then they took me into a room and my wife was there and my wife was crying. So I knew there was something that wasn't going to be pleasant news. And then
Oh
the
yeah.
doctor told me that they had found a tumor in my rectum and it was very low. And so I immediately, I never got down. I never got out. I didn't get disgusted. I didn't get mad. I didn't get angry. I was concerned for my wife and my son because
Right,
they
right.
had real feelings and fear, but I never feared once. My favorite verse in the Bible, I'm a Christian, and
Mm-hmm.
my favorite verse in the Bible is 2 Corinthians 5:7. For we walk by faith and not by sight. And for me, immediately I said, this is not an obstacle, it's an opportunity. And it's an opportunity for me to be who I've said that I am, and to walk the life that I've tried to live. and to be an inspiration to people. I always felt like, because I was talking to another coach at the time when I was letting people know, and he said, like, how can this happen to you of all people? You know, he said, and I said, well, why not me? You know,
Mm.
no one's exempt from anything that life brings, so why not me? And so I decided, you know, I want to be an inspiration to others, because I just felt in my heart that God was going to cleanse me and heal me from this disease. And I never took ownership of it. I would never say my cancer. I wouldn't allow people to refer to it as my cancer. I would always correct that. And so I took a very biblical stance against it. And I was trying to be faithful in that day in and day out. And I didn't stop doing anything that I was doing with my life, even through treatments, through radiation, through chemo. I never stopped working. They wouldn't allow me to coach third base because I had the port. And just for
Mhm.
the small chance that a foul ball would hit me and that port would cause problems. So, but I was still with the team. I was still active whenever I wasn't in treatments, and I was there all the time. I just wanted to maintain my regular normal life, my regular way of living. I believe that when people go through things in life, you know, we have a choice, because I don't think life happens to us. Life happens for us. And if I lay in the bed and say I'm sick, then I'm going to be sick and I'm going to get worse. But if I get up and just keep moving and just don't even claim that sickness, but just claim the healing that comes from that
Amen.
sickness, because I believe that there's a blessing in the storm, and it's not what we deal with, it's how we deal with things.
Mm.
And I used to tell players that all the time when I was managing. So I had a perfect opportunity to live out the things that I've preached and the things that I've spoken about my life up to that point. And so I never saw it as an obstacle. It was an opportunity to do something, you know, for someone else and to inspire people beyond myself. It was, I felt like it was greater than me. You know, it was a cause that's
Mhm.
much greater than me. And so I'm actually thankful. I mean, you
Yeah.
would say, some people may say that, you know, if they dealt with cancer, then that was the worst years of their life. But in many ways, it was the best time of my life, because I learned so many things that I couldn't have learned. And I've touched
Yeah.
so many people that I couldn't have touched without having been through this.
Uh, Tony, I am sitting here just nodding my head and just saying amen, amen. The power of the tongue, the power of thoughts, bringing
Yes,
God into your heart and allowing Him to help you with that speech and with that outlook. You can move mountains. I agree
yes,
100%. And my late husband, I don't know if I shared this yet, but my husband of 20 years passed away of colorectal cancer in 2011 after a 16-month battle. He was only 43 years old. And the only thing that allowed me to move forward was the power of the Lord. And so
amen.
I am so thankful that you both have shared this extraordinary energy that we can tap into, we can plug into at any point in time, and actually heal. I remember hearing from God, glory to God for his healing. He healed you
Amen.
all, but he also healed my
Yes,
husband. When my husband passed, he was
yes,
healed immediately.
yes,
So I
that's right.
firmly believe that there is glory to God for all healing. And that definition of
Amen.
healing can mean all kinds of many different things. So I really
That's right.
appreciate you both sharing your faith. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Um, I do want to ask a few more questions, and one in particular is what's a revelation? What have you learned throughout this whole experience? Is there one thing that really stands out? Like, I didn't see this coming. This is new information. I'll start with you, Ernie. What do you think?
Well, Tony, thank you for the wonderful statement in the Bible of we walk by faith, not by sight. I will I will keep that in my heart.
Mhm.
That's
Thank you.
very, very strong and very healing as well. What did I learn? What did I feel?
Yeah.
Um, I I love my wife so much that I annoy her. I'm just, she's like, you go away already. I'm working. I'm working here. Love me tonight, later, whatever. But what I found out, and we both found out, is the preciousness of time. Now we have more time. Before, it looked like there'd be no more time. It's over. But now we have time. So what do we do with that time?
Mhm.
We live in the moment, and we we go forward not only with our faith, but with our joy of, I used to say to Cheryl, I made it through the morning. I'm going to enjoy the afternoon. And after the afternoon, it's like, you know what? I made it through the afternoon. Now I have the whole evening. It's like 3 days in one. So that that's really important. And of course the friends and family you have, it's all rethought. It's all um, this this is something I must listen to. People are talking to me, so listen to them and then help them out if you can,
Mhm.
as opposed to I'm very busy. Have a nice day. Bye.
Right, right, right. Um, yeah, thank you, Ernie. And there is so much power in just the power of now, staying in the moment, which is what you did. You stayed in the moment of the morning, you stayed in the moment in the afternoon, and that in itself can bring a lot of healing.
Also, my mom used to say when I would get a bad cold, I'd say, "Why did I have a bad cold?" And miss out on something at school. She said, "Because probably if someone else had a bad cold, they wouldn't know how to handle it. God only gives you what you can handle,
Mhm.
and you're going to get through this cold, and you'll be a better person for it, and you'll catch up in school." And she was right.
Yeah, a beautiful lesson. That's outstanding. Tony, I know you've got something that you learned through this whole process. More than one thing, I would imagine.
Yes, I mean, first of all, you know, you sharing about your husband, and I'm sorry to hear about that. I didn't know that. Um, when Ernie hit on something, he talked about love, and when I was going through that process, you know, it was stage two, but at the same time, like the doctors were concerned, like it got into my lymph nodes because it was starting to eat into the walls of my pelvic a little bit, and the doctors were concerned about that. So the I guess the process that they used was to attack the lymph nodes first, and
Okay.
that's why they went with chemo first in my case instead of radiation, and then surgery last, because had they allowed it to spread into my lymph nodes, then it's a whole different ball game.
Right.
But something I did say, and you brought up a good point about healing. God heals in many ways, and my thing was that I want to be faithful. I want to honor God, and I even said this to the group of the team, the baseball players, the Texas Rangers organization, that I spoke to the whole organization, and I said, even if this is unto death, I want to glorify God through this. And so, and what I've learned from this whole process is to love hard and
Mhm.
just love. I mean, love people, all people. It doesn't matter. Like if you agree, if you disagree, we should love and appreciate individuals, love and appreciate people, and don't take things for granted. I didn't think that I took things for granted, but then it just gives you time to reflect. And I could, if I had died, I probably wasn't going to be the best husband that I could have been. I wasn't the best
Mhm.
father that I could have been. So there's so many areas in my life that I needed to grow, and I needed to see that. And sometimes, we take so many things for granted. For me, when the sun shines, when it's cloudy out, I don't care if I walk outside and it's another day. I'm happy. I'm blessed. It could be raining. I don't care, but it's another day. I'm still here. And so I've just learned to appreciate all those little things. And in my job is based on wins and losses and all those things that go into that. It's result oriented. But I've learned not to get caught up into any of those things. I mean, I love my job. I want to be great at my job, but my job doesn't define me. My job is what I do. It's not who I am. And so the biggest lesson I've learned is just define who you are and the substance of your life, and just find joy and peace in that every day. And I think if we do that, we can be consistent and we can be happy and we can be content. It's easy to, as a Christian, it's easy to praise God when your life is great. But when you're going through a storm in life, can you still be, that beacon of hope and can you be consistent and still be the same person? So I've learned that, I try not to allow anything to shake me or to move me, because I just want to be faithful to who God is calling me to be. And I believe he's got me here, and I know that he has me here, and he left me here for a reason. And I just want to glorify him in everything I say, everything that I do. And I want to touch people's lives in a positive way.
I'm like speechless because there's so many things I want to say, but one of the things I want to say is it hit me was you really only see the light in the darkness, right? When things are going well, you turn on a light, there's light, you turn on a light, there's not much light shining, but in the darkness, a small light, a big light, wow, makes all the difference, right? And so that's what you guys are, that's what you all are doing, is there's darkness that's wrapped around cancer. Yeah, Ernie, go ahead.
You hear differently. You hear things that you would have responded to or not in a different way. Now you're hearing sorrow, you get it. You're hearing joy, you get that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one thing, I will share one thing that I learned, that joy and pain can be felt simultaneously, and that's okay. Many times I have just cried with the blessing and also the pain. There's joy for all the blessings, but there's joy that's also coming from, well, there's also tears because of pain. So joy and pain can literally be felt at the very same time. And that's such a powerful feeling. And wow, well, this is such a great conversation. I hate to wrap it up, but I've got one more question, and then we'll see if anybody listening would like to ask you all some questions.
Screening.
Screening. That was my question. Yeah. What do y'all want to leave? What do you want to tell the viewers? Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I want to tell the viewers. Early screening. Don't be afraid.
Yep.
Get the facts and then act on them.
Right. By age 45. And we say by because 45 is the deadline. That's the deadline. You get screened earlier if you're having symptoms. Again, with a conversation with your medical provider, what screening option is best for you. But if you're having symptoms, you need to speak with your medical provider. We've discussed some of the symptoms: blood in the stool, thin stools, irregular bowel habits, pain, straining. These are all signs and symptoms that are not to be ignored. And then at the same time, if you have a family history, your doctor needs to understand that as well. So, Tony, what do you want to say to people, the viewers? What do you want to leave them with?
Yeah, I kind of want to echo what Ernie is saying. Definitely early screening is huge. It's important. Just don't ignore the signs. If I had waited one more year, who knows, what happens. The tumor grows and it spreads. It eats into my pelvic bone and gets into my bloodstream, my lymph nodes, and who knows what happens. Maybe I'm not having this conversation with you now. And I ignored signs. Don't be like me. I ignored the signs because I looked at my family history and said it can't happen to me. So don't be the person that says that it can't happen to you, or that you can't have cancer, or that you can't be diagnosed, because anyone can. And you don't have to have a family history. So if there's anything that's offbeat, do yourself a favor and get checked.
I asked Dr. Andrew Vernberg, I said, Doctor, how did I get this? I don't drink, I don't smoke. He said, it's hereditary. And if no one in your family had this, guess what? They do now. You're it.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. And I asked that same question, and I said the same things. I don't drink, I don't smoke. How did I get it? And he said, I don't know. And then he did a test to see if it was hereditary in my family. And I have 7 brothers and sisters. Both of my parents are deceased. And then the pathology came back as, no, it's not hereditary. And in my family, he said no, but he said, yet and still you have it. And so we just can't think that we can't get it. And
Right.
you just have to be proactive if anything is offbeat, or if there's anything that's not right, and with your bowel movement or your stomach is just not feeling right, or anything that's offbeat. And we know our bodies, and we know when things are not right, because I knew things weren't right. I just didn't think that this would be the end result. A lot of times we think, oh, it's something, it'll go away. But why not just get checked? Why not just get screened and just make sure that you're not the person that waits and waits, and then years, and you allow something to materialize inside your body that you can't control.
Well,
Mindy,
you know what? I'm sorry, Ernie, go ahead.
Mindy,
Yeah.
when I made the movie Lion King, there was one of the
Yeah.
lines that Pumbaa had, and I told Dr. Andrew Vernberg, and Cheryl was right there. She reminded me of the line. And the line is, you got to put your behind in your past.
Oh
Right.
my gosh. I'm gonna have to steal that. I'm sorry. I will quote you, but I might have to steal that.
And Cheryl said, yeah, that should be on a billboard on the highway.
Well, we'll talk offline, Ernie, because I'm hoping that you come back to the Boxer Brief 5K. And Tony, you're welcome. I mean, hopefully you're in Texas.
When is the Boxer Brief?
It's
When
June
Yeah, I
11th.
hope
the
I hope
5K?
I'm in Texas soon. I mean, we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah, I hope you're back in Texas working. But yeah, the Boxer Brief is Saturday, June 11th at
right,
City
June.
Stadium, home to the Richmond Kickers. Yeah, we're back at City Stadium. But Tony, I'll keep you updated about that. But I'm really kind of praying you're back in Texas. I do want to kind of wrap up before we get to questions here. Both of you guys keep talking about advocacy, advocating for your health, knowing your symptoms and signs and symptoms, but then advocating with your doctor, especially Ernie, when you're saying that it really wasn't ever encouraged for you to get a colonoscopy. And so now people know about this procedure and about other in-home non-invasive procedures that they can talk with their medical provider about and actually be an advocate, to be an advocate for themselves. I want to share with you real quick. I'm looking at my phone. Dr. Vohenberg just sent me a text. Ernie. And
What did he say? What did he say? What did he say?
This is what Dr. Vohenberg says about you. I was a little starstruck and nervous about operating on the man behind the voice of the flatulent warthog. Warthog. Everyone who meets him has the same reaction. He's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. I'm so lucky and honored that he chose me to be his doctor. I think of him and his wife as my friend.
And we are,
Awesome.
and he's going to make me cry, but you know, I feel the same way. I was starstruck to be with him. Are you kidding me? The first time I met him, he said, "How are you?" And I said, "You tell me."
Yes. Yeah. Good point. Good point. All right. So Mike Short is our production guy here. So thank you, Mike Short of Pro Community, to help us out here. I'm not sure if there's any questions. Yeah, if there's any questions on Facebook, I don't know, Mike, if you can see that or put in the chat. Let's see. Oh, okay. If someone doesn't have insurance, how should they go about getting screened? Okay, that's a great question. So here in the Richmond area, we have got 22 free clinics. So, and then we also have FQHCs all across, which are federally qualified health centers, which are all across the state of Virginia. So if you are needing help to find a medical home, I highly suggest you email us at info@hcb2.org. H for hitting, C for cancer, B for belt, number 2, hcb2.org, and let us help you find a medical home that can help you if you do not have insurance. That's a great question. Are there any others? I see there's a few people on Facebook.
Yeah,
Not sure
no
if
other
there's
questions.
Okay. All right, great. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. This is the Can We Talk interview with two huge celebrity influencers. And I cannot thank you enough, Tony Beasley and Ernie Sabella, for being with us. This is being recorded, so I will send you the link, and we will definitely be pushing this out on social media. Any last
And,
thoughts?
and I'd like to sing something for Tony, okay?
Okay.
This is Pumbaa for Tony. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. That's you, Tony.
Hopefully soon, Ernie. Hopefully
Okay.
soon.
All right. Tony and Ernie, I'll be in touch. I'm sorry, we're now connected, so I'm going to be in touch, okay?
Hakuna Matata.
Thank you, Mindy. God
Thank
bless.
you, everybody. All right, God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.